To me, resolutions always feel like rules, and like I'm setting myself up for failure because, just because it's a new year, new year, new you, that we feel like we have to accomplish these goals that for me in my past typically had to do with weight or a running distance or, something like that. And there's nothing wrong with resolutions, I should say, but they typically have to do more with something you want to do or something you want to accomplish. And it creates pressure, a lot of undue pressure, I feel, that we just don't need when we're already under so much pressure. Hey there, I'm Amber Harper, former burned out teacher turned teacher burnout coach, dedicated to helping other teachers like you to grow through your burnout and take your next best steps toward what you want from your career in education and in life. After an embarrassing emotional breakdown in front of my teacher besties, I knew something needed to change, and that something was me. I decided that I wasn't going to settle for burnout as my sentence as a teacher, mom, wife, or friend. And I knew it was going to take way more than practicing conventional self-care to make the progress I wanted to make. No amount of manicures, bottles of wine, or bubble baths was going to save this girl. Fast forward to a few years later, and I've used everything I've learned about teacher burnout and personal development to write a book, build a course, and lead a community of burned-in teachers who refuse to settle for a life of burnout as their forever reality. I've used my burnout as an opportunity to become an active participant in my life, in the classroom and here on the mic, using all that I've learned to teach kids and serve teachers. And you can do the same. The Burned In Teacher podcast is one part burnout and all other parts action, inspiration, and support to help you grow through your burnout and live a happier, more fulfilled career and life. So take a deep breath, my friend, because you're about to take your next best step to becoming a burned in teacher. Let's dive in. Hey, what's up, Burned In Teachers? Welcome to episode 166 of the Burned In Teacher podcast. I'm your host, Amber Harper, and I'm so grateful that you joined me here today. You can find the Burned In Teacher podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and I'm so grateful for all of you who have been leaving me such sweet messages, ratings, and reviews. I just love hearing from you. So never be afraid to send me a DM, reach out, say hi on Instagram, Facebook, on Twitter, Pinterest, anywhere that you can find me on social media, and I would love to say hi. And I really quickly want to share this really amazing review that I got from Living on Hope on Apple iTunes. Living on Hope said, "This is the way out." She gave me such a sweet 5-star rating. Amber's book, website with resources, podcast, and membership are the way out of burnout and the path to a sustainable teacher career, a career you want to fight for. Thanks to Amber, I have found joy again, and I have a renewed motivation to make this work. I love that because that's the point of all of this. I know what it's like to feel so deep in the depths of burnout, and I know what it feels like to not have a way out. So that's why I created Burned In Teacher in the first place, all the way back in 2016. So speaking of years, we are almost at the end of 2022. I honestly can't believe it. It has just flown by. And I wanted to share with you today why I believe so strongly in having a word of the year and how I choose mine. So if you've never heard a word of the year is simply you choosing a word that is different than a resolution. To me, resolutions always feel like rules, and like I'm setting myself up for failure because, just because it's a new year, new year, new you, that we feel like we have to accomplish these goals that for me in my past typically had to do with weight or a running distance or, something like that. And there's nothing wrong with resolutions, I should say, but they typically have to do more with something you want to do or something you want to accomplish. And it creates pressure, a lot of undue pressure, I feel, that we just don't need when we're already under so much pressure. This is different than a word of the year that I learned about probably back in 2017, actually. And in my opinion, a word of the year is so much better for me than a resolution. Or I should say they work great side by side. Because a word of the year helps you to focus on how you want to live and how you want to be and how you want to feel. And I've had so many different words of the year since 2017. And I'm going to share a link in this episode, in the show notes, where a few years ago, I actually went through my entire process of creating a word of the year step by step in depth. Okay. So, my word of the year that I created last year was fun. I felt like I had lost I felt like I had lost the fun in things, the fun in my personal life, the fun in my, in Burned In Teacher. I felt like I was just being so serious and taking everything so seriously. And while, life is serious and I take my business of Burned In Teacher and serving all of you very seriously, I also want to have fun. I mean, fun is part of the reason that I want to be a teacher too. Like, I want to have fun with my kids. I want to show the kids that that life and school can be fun, learning can be fun, and even hard things can end up being a little bit fun if you make that a priority. So, I that's my main reason, honestly, for creating a word of the year is because I'm so futuristic. I'm always moving the goalpost. I'm always looking at the next thing to accomplish or do. I go back to that idea of we're not human doings, we're human beings. And that's why I believe so strongly in creating a word of the year and how it has really, really helped me to really focus and be intentional with everything that I do and spend my time on. Is this fun? Would this be fun? Or wouldn't it be fun if? So that was my word of the year last year. And in the episode that I'll link in the show notes here, I will share with you other words of the year that I have had. Now, I'm going to take you really quickly through just the basic fundamental steps of creating a word of the year. And before I do that, I want to invite you to a free workshop where I am going to go through this process in depth with you and anybody else who registers. This is totally free. We're just going to go through this word of the year process and we're going to dive deep in this together because it is so much more fun to do this kind of thing, to dream about how you want to feel and how you want to live within the next year. It's so much more fun to do that with people who are also on this journey or on a path to just bettering how they feel and how they want to be in the upcoming year. So this is going to take place live on Monday, January 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you go to burnedinteacher.com/WOTH, that's for word of the year. That's burnedinteacher.com/WOTH. You can register for free. I'll send you the Zoom link. And I will also send you a link to get my Burned In Teacher Word of the Year resource from TPT. That will be the only thing you will have to purchase to join in this really amazing workshop where we go through everything step by step by step together. I'm going to, allow people to open up their mics so they can kind of share what their questions are or what their realizations are as we're going through this process. I feel like it's going to be super fun and we're going to make this process really, really social. And again, it's going to be fun because that was my word of the year last year. And I'm really trying to keep it going all the way through the 31st of 2022. So join me January 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Pour yourself something nice. Let's get together and let's go through this process together. I have found so much power in creating a word of the year, and you're going to see the power that it has to change your perspective and to help you to be more intentional with your time and your energy in 2023. Okay, so in the last part of this really short episode, I'm just going to share with you the fundamental steps of creating your word of the year. And then if you check out the show notes, you'll be able to see in depth what it is that we'll kind of go through together in this free workshop. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is reflect on the previous year. So I just want you to think about, how did it feel? What did you do? What did you not like? What did you not like about the way you felt or the things that happened? Really just kind of dump it onto a piece of paper. Just reflect on the last 12 months. How did they make you feel? Okay. Step 2 is to brain dump your goals. Okay. Now, we're not going to set a New Year's resolution. We're not creating long-term goals right now. We're just thinking about what do you want? In the next year, what are some things that you'd like to see happen in your life? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? Right? Who do you want to hang out with? What do you want to see happen? And then if you'd like to, you can even extend that to 3 to 5 years. What are your goals in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself? Do you still want to be in the classroom? Do you want to be doing something else in education? Do you still want to live where you're living now? Do you want to meet that special someone? Do you want to run a 5K or a marathon? What are some things that you want to do? Do you just want to get more rest? Really think about you and your goals. Step 3 is I want you to identify words that repeat or are synonymous from steps 1 and 2. Okay, so reflect on the previous year, okay, what you loved, what you didn't love, really look, dive deep into, how it went, how you're feeling about it, okay? And then step 2 is, of course, brain dumping your goals. So what is it that you can see yourself doing in the next year to 5 years, all right? And then go back to those lists and really think about what words are repeating, what words are connecting in some way. And from that, and I'm going to ask you to highlight those things, okay? From that, that's where I want you to choose, or rather create, your word of the year. See, this is different for me than creating or choosing core values, okay? It kind of goes hand in hand, but the word of the year is that one word that you're continuing to strive to feel and strive to be and strive to live as this. Okay. So again, I shared with you that my word is fun. And so what I've tried to do this year, and I have done so many new things in Burned In Teacher just because it sounded like fun. And it's worked. It's kept me ignited. I'm not going to say that I've always been, 110%, but because I've tried new things, because it sounds fun and it sounds intriguing, I've done them, and it's helped me to avoid burnout, because burnout can show up in many different spaces and places throughout your life. It can show up in entrepreneurship, it can show up in parenthood, it can show up in at your teaching profession, it can show up, of course, in any profession outside of teaching. But if you have something to help you to remain intentional and help you to focus on how you want to feel, who you want to be, and how you want to live, it's really going to help you to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing every day, okay? And I really feel like it's going to help you to reach those goals or those resolutions that you set, and to check if there's any misalignment, okay? So that misalignment is a huge key factor in burnout and dissatisfaction, because if what you're doing every day is not aligning with how you want to feel and how you want to live, that's a problem. And if we don't pay attention to those things, that can land you deep in burnout, all right? So now you know why I feel a word of the year is so important, and the 4 foundational steps to get you started to thinking about what you want your word of the year to be. And I hope to see you on Monday, January 9th at my free Word of the Year workshop. Jump on over to TPT and get the Word of the Year guide to help you to dive even deeper. You can go through this by yourself first and just kind of see what this looks like. And then we hope to see you and go through this entire guide with you on January 9th. Let's start this new year with being intentional about what it is that we want to feel in 2023. Oh, I also need to tell you, so I go through this process in depth inside of Burned In Teacher University, and I kid you not, we take our words of the year really seriously inside of Burned In Teacher University, okay? And one of my members in the Burned In Teacher membership, she actually got her word of the year tattooed on her arm. This is no joke. We are stepping it up over here at Burned In Teacher with our words of the year. We take our intentional work so seriously, and I know that you're going to find so much value in this. All right, everybody, take a deep breath, because you just took another step to becoming a Burned In Teacher in 2023. See you soon. Burn on. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, you can head over to burnedinteacher.com where you can access the entire vault of Burned In Teacher podcast episodes and more information about ways I want to help you go from burned out teacher to burned in human. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you would head over to iTunes and leave a review and a rating about the Burned In Teacher podcast. Until next time, take a deep breath because you just took another step to becoming a burned in teacher. Burn on.